And now we're feeling good. Hey, welcome everybody to I'll Tell You What, your weekly analysis of uninformed information. Is that
wow, that was not it at
that's
all.
That's not what
No,
it
that
is?
wasn't it.
What?
I was like going to say, is that what it is now?
No.
Weekly dose of
Your weekly
uninformed.
dose, of uninformed analysis.
See, that was just uninformed analysis about our tagline.
That was a
about
perfect
uninformed.
representation of how this pod works.
So meta. Right?
I wish that was written on the paper that Chad could have tried to cold read.
No, because then
It's my favorite.
Stumbled over the third
All right,
word.
we're here. We're here.
We're here.
Hello, welcome back, everybody.
So
Radio
back
voice
like
is
we're back from
already in
commercial
full
break.
this is what he does. You know,
Yeah.
it's really tough to adjust because you look across from him and he just goes straight into his K-Rock voice.
You know, this is showbiz, and I just got to turn it on for the microphone. You know,
Yeah.
the listeners want the best of me.
I think the listeners want a little bit more accents from you. It was a big hit.
Ooh,
Was it? I don't know that we got that feedback from
In
anyone.
an episode full of constructive criticism, we'll
yeah,
say.
that one flew under the radar,
Nothing.
unfortunately for you,
But our
Chad.
writers, if you want to hear some bad accents, just let us know, and I'll break them out for you.
we certainly plan to address the feedback that we received
Oh.
last time, and we're thrilled to have a guest,
We
a
have a guest.
listener
Yes.
on with us. There are 4 people on this pod. Elliot, do you want to introduce our guest, our very special guest?
How our guest is attached to our pod.
Thanks for the specifics. Our guest today is we can't say where we work. That's the other thing. We don't really say where we're working.
Oh gosh,
We just hint really close, and most of you work here as well.
and nobody cares.
Yeah. So we have a 4th chair today. It's a man, a colleague that I've worked with for almost my entire time at my current organization. My boss, my leader. But today, we're kind of his boss. So it's
Yeah,
kind of-
that's
All
right.
right.
Ooh,
I
watch
like
out for those
that.
power
Watch
dynamics.
out.
It's kind of a fun switch.
I'm okay with that.
We have Andy Dean on the pod today.
Hello.
Welcome, Andy.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm just trying to get comfortable here with this giant microphone in front of my face.
It'll always take a little bit, but
Yeah.
Andy's been a loyal listener from, I think, episode 0.
Yeah,
Yes.
day one.
A constant provider of feedback.
Yes.
Andy's feedback is the first I receive every Monday morning. When do
It's
you
a
normally
gift.
listen to the pod, Andy?
So, you know, might be 5:30 a.m. On that first morning walk with my 6-month-old puppy.
right at the drop.
Yeah. So.
Quite a fun time. But yeah, usually the feedback is like, it was a pretty good episode, but every once in a while he's like, it wasn't my favorite.
Yeah.
And it hurts pretty
It's fine.
deeply.
I don't
We
blame you
want
for that.
honest feedback
Yes.
is what we seek.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got, let's just say, a fair
A
amount.
lot. People came out of the woodwork on this last episode.
People have opinions.
As we are sitting here right now recording this pod,
Yeah.
my phone, I assume
Yeah.
your phones are
Yep.
blowing up with continued feedback
On the Instagram,
Yeah.
on the
ha-
mailbag,
on our
via
very
text.
People walking down the
terrible
streets just yelling
opinions.
how we're idiots.
Yeah.
Like,
People feel some kind of way about snacks.
Yeah, so last episode was our snack madness, our munch madness episode.
Yeah. Which I thought would be light and clever and fun and
it was when
That's
we
how we
recorded
treated
it.
it.
yeah,
We treated it as a light and fun thing.
not the
Snacks are a
listeners.
wedge issue, apparently.
They are.
cheese
Yeah, they're
wedges.
very
Issue.
divisive.
Yeah, so like
Was that the baby? No, what's the laughing
baby
cow?
bell.
Ooh,
Laughing
yeah.
cow.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
we received a fair amount of feedback on our
Mhm.
Disney movie ranking
Agree.
episode.
Yeah.
We
But
thought so.
It paled in
Oh,
comparison
yeah.
to the
Yeah,
snack
yeah.
episode. So we thought we'd do a little post-mortem
Yeah,
on episode
we'll
11.
address it. Yeah.
The first thing I wanted to go over is there was a little bit of a argument on what a snack actually is.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
A lot of people said candy aren't snacks. A lot of people said cereal isn't a snack.
What?
I'm here to say right now today, I stand by our list.
I do too. And you know what it's felt like this past week? A snack attack.
Oh.
All right. Jeez.
Oh, that's why you're everybody's favorite. You know that?
Yeah, sure.
So Google defines Google defines a snack as a small amount of food eaten between meals. That's all.
That's it, people.
It doesn't specify that it can't be a candy. It doesn't specify that it can't be prepared. It's a pretty loose definition.
Or that it must be salted.
Yes, thank you.
I'll also say one of the most consistent forms of feedback that I received was that Chad's list was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
Chad brought some things out of left
I brought
field
some things.
and
And
right
I
field
appreciated
and
that
center
at the
field.
same time. Yeah.
I thought about the snacks that I consume the most, and I
Chad
put them
is
on the
a
list.
is a human form of a rabbit who likes to eat bran in all forms. He doesn't like flavor or seasoning or
No.
salt.
Okay, let's address this right now.
Let's do it.
Crackling oat bran. You say doesn't have flavor. Well, what do I have right now?
This was not planned at all.
I have some crackling oat bran, and Elliot has not tried it. So
I've never had
It's
crackling
really
oat
good.
bran.
It does
and
look like
so-
rabbit food,
and-
though.
Andy,
Yes, please.
It's
I'll take some, thank you.
it's
Oh,
a square
thank you, very
cereal
generous.
with a hole in the middle, so it looks like an O.
It's great.
Really?
Yes. Into-
It's delicious.
Purposefully chewing into the mic.
I want to bring people into the experience. you know?
Oh, that's awful.
It's like
So-
an ASMR episode.
So
Yeah.
what are your reactions without like your personal attack against me? Like what are you feeling? What are you tasting in your mouth?
I'm not going to lie, it's a good cereal.
It's delicious
It's-
cereal.
It's tasty.
It's an oatmeal cookie in the
Here's the
form
thing.
of cereal.
That's a
It's one of the cereals that comes in the small boxes, so that's when you know it's like a premier cereal.
This
It's
is like
like
a
concentrated
$5.50
flavor.
for this small box. One thing I will
See, that's
say,
too much for a cereal. Is there a generic version
That's
of
why
this?
it's
or?
a treat. It's a
as I look
snack.
at the ingredients, it goes whole grain oats. This sounds like this is pretty healthy. Second ingredient, sugar.
Yeah.
It also has palm oil and corn syrup in it.
That's bad
so
for the chimpanzees.
This is fake healthy, but it's tasty.
Okay, anytime sugar is the second ingredient in something, I'm going to like it. I'm a fan of that.
Yeah.
So what did Crackling Oat Bran beat in the first round? Was it zebra cakes?
No.
I
Couldn't
don't
have been.
recall.
Oh, maybe it was.
I think in the first round,
Yeah.
Crackling Oat Bran went up against zebra cakes.
You might be right.
And I am going to say it does not beat zebra cakes. So that was a bad call, you guys.
Some other feedback that I got as I was listening to this with my wife in the car. Two pieces of feedback. The first one's pretty easy. Apparently, we were saying the name of one of the contenders wrong.
Yeah.
Reese's peanut butter cups. We said Reese's, and we said it wrong in the beginning. And my wife was audibly, or I could see her pet peeve siren
Yeah.
go off.
She's
With the-
right.
I mean,
with the
I'm
first
not going to
one.
apologize for it.
And then we continued
Just
to
not.
say it wrong the whole time, so it was like being in a cat.
It was like nails
in
on a
box.
chalkboard
yes,
for her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's
Well done.
right, but I agree with Caitlin. I'm not going to apologize.
Yeah.
For me, when I think of that candy, I say Reese's.
Yeah,
And that's just
I
how
do
it
too,
is.
yeah.
That's what
And
Well,
she
we
also
live in
said
people.
Reese's Pieces is already wordplay, so Reese's Pieces is just complete utter nonsense of wordplay.
Yeah, but isn't it a little more fun?
it is?
I
fun.
agree.
right?
There's a bit of whimsy to it.
It's
yeah.
a whimsical
But
candy.
I am
Feels
going to
light.
side with my wife because I feel like that is the prudent mood for me.
Yeah.
And then also, we have
Sure.
a doping scandal in our bracket.
Okay, what does this mean?
This means that in our pod, we were talking about how the food needs to be able to be grabbed in one package, opened up, and consumed.
Yeah.
And bagel bites
right, yeah.
need to be microwaved. So they need that performance enhancement drug, if you will, of microwaves to be consumable, to be your snack. So within our own rules that we described, we had a contender.
Okay, while your analogy is bad,
How is it bad?
it's a bad analogy, calling a microwave a performance-enhancing drug. While it's a bad analogy, I receive that feedback. I
Yeah.
do think that's appropriate. That bagel bites are not.
Bagel. I like how Elliot says bagel.
Yeah, that's my Pennsylvania coming
Yeah.
out. I don't. You're right. Bagel bites probably maybe didn't belong to be on this list, but you know what? They lost in the first round.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's anybody's really big issue.
So the lesson to take away from that, cheating is never good, kids.
Yeah. Oh, I did want to say, I know Chad brought something, but I also brought
Oh.
I brought some packs of craisins for everyone because I know that was also not well received. But I'd like to point out these particular craisins that I brought are strawberry flavored.
Yeah.
So flavored fruit is
how do you
interesting
flavor
twist.
a craisin?
Well,
So
try them and
let's
let me
look
know
at
what
the
you think. They're
ingredients
pretty
here.
good.
Cranberries. Second ingredient, cane sugar. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I like I said,
and
I
third
do like
ingredient,
a.
natural flavor. So, short list.
All right, so
Enjoy 'em.
the
You're
crackling oat
welcome.
bran was a plant, but this is actually a surprise.
This is
Yeah, you're
surprising.
welcome. Yeah.
So
It
Take
was a
care of y'all,
plant.
guys.
It was oats.
So Andy, I know you listened before anybody, literally. What was your general takeaway about the list? Be it the list, be it our organization, be it the final winner. And just to note, I have your answer already written down. So if you try to change it,
there's no hiding.
if you
Andy.
try to change it, I'll know.
So I did feel there were some omissions. I'm fine with the candy. Candy is absolutely a snack.
Thank you.
And I
Great.
felt a big omission was M&Ms.
Sure.
I feel like that is definitely a standard snack that would be high in most people's lists. I did talk to you a little bit about the
fair.
system. It felt a little random with the pitting against
Okay.
like just picking them out of a hat. I
Okay.
would have liked to have seen like a little more ranking.
Okay, let me real quick jump in, boss, and let me.
Let me ask for your opinion and then tell you why I think it's wrong.
No, I want to take this
Go ahead,
opportunity
Elliot.
to explain that a little bit. So there were people on the pod, namely Caitlin, who said we should have.
Wow,
No,
where's this gonna go?
I'm supporting you. That you said we should have like
brackets.
brackets
Yeah.
of candy should be up
Yeah.
here, chips should be up here,
Yeah.
drinks should be down here. And I
Do
think
some
that's-
seating and all that
yeah,
stuff.
and I think that's fair. But what we decided on, the process that we did, each one of us made our own top 10-ish
Well,
list.
yes. Let's backtrack for a second. Elliot told Chad and I, hey, we're all going to make a list. Make
Yeah.
a list of 12.
Yeah.
Your top 12 snacks.
Sure.
Chad and I come to the table, we have 12.
Yeah.
Elliot comes to the table with his list of 32.
I had 32.
It's like the rules don't apply to Elliot.
As the
As the person who edits this pod,
Yeah.
I get the
No,
other
no, no,
20.
no.
Exactly.
as the person who said this would be a good plan,
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure there were enough in case there was overlap. So
Yeah.
I brought extras just in case. Did I need to bring 32? No, I didn't. 32 was too many.
Yeah.
But we each brought our own basically top 10 list. We took that top 10 list, we cut them up, we put them into a bag, we shook it up, we pulled them randomly. I thought that was the most appropriate and most fair way
Yeah.
to organize the bracket.
But people didn't like the process.
People
Which
didn't like the
that's okay.
process.
That's okay.
So I just wanted to explain that just so
I
people
just
understood.
think, if you're going to claim yourselves as fake authorities on something and they're uninformed,
We're definitely
you
uninformed.
got to have a little bit of process in there, and it felt a little random. And some of the matchups, just they put some of the snacks in
Hey.
They
unfair
did.
play.
There were some tough games in
Guys,
that first round.
That's how the cookie
Crumbles.
crumbles.
Oh gosh. Oh.
Although actually no cookies on the list, I don't think. Oreo, Milk's favorite.
Oreo,
Yeah.
Milk's favorite cookie.
So
So we apologize that a lot of your favorites did not make the list or were unceremoniously exited early from the tournament.
the very last thing I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
We did put out a call on Instagram and in person to our friends, so that everybody had a problem with our list. So
and there were no thumbs up.
no,
Yeah.
very few people supported us.
None. 0 actually.
Yeah, my mom didn't support me.
Oh, Elliot, is that a first time that?
I think it might be the first time in almost
Since-
32 years
yeah,
that my
yeah,
mom
yeah.
didn't support me.
Well,
But so I did put out a call to our friends for them to actually give us what they would have chosen,
right.
right?
As their number ones.
As their number
Unsalted
ones.
nuts came through in just the highest regard.
People had
I
the
don't
biggest problem. I think the
not
biggest
see it
complaint I
on the
heard was
list.
the unsalted mixed nuts.
Yeah.
But I got a couple people reached out with what their favorites are.
Yeah.
And basically, I don't think we need to go through all these, but
No.
not one person agreed with the other person. So it's just to say that
All unique answers. Yeah.
almost all of the answers were unique.
Snacks are a deeply personal thing.
It's a deeply personal thing, and we wanted to share some of our feelings with you, our listeners.
Yeah.
And even if you don't agree with us, thank you for joining.
And join us next time when we rank them. Maybe again. Maybe we'll do a new random sample of snacks. I don't know. We got to figure out what to talk about every week on this thing. So there's an opportunity
I am
to
gonna keep-
practice some contrition and do it again.
I am going to keep bringing the Mallow Cup anytime it comes up. And I went to CVS to
Elliot
try and get a
sigh.
Mallow Cup.
They
Couldn't
didn't
do
have
it.
them.
They didn't have them.
I
No.
do want to try the Mallow Cup.
I do too. I think
I'm
they sold
very
it well.
curious about this thing.
I agree.
It's a glorious
Yeah.
candy.
Yeah.
I will say we did learn something. So we did put out an ask to our listeners about like Little Debbie. Who is she? Where did she come from?
Right.
So in the spirit of this being an educational pod, first and foremost, our friend Tim B, wrote into the podcast and gave us a little bit of the backstory on
Let's
Deb.
hear it.
So Little Debbie was the granddaughter of the guy who started the parent company McKee Foods. And now Debbie is the executive vice president of this company.
So is the company still called McKee, or did it transition to being called Little Debbie? Or is
That-
Little Debbie just the brand of McKee Foods?
That part Tim didn't write in.
Oh, Tim.
But then he shares this little anecdote. The real reason I wanted to write in is that my mom, who Caitlin will know as the Queen, that's true, has 2 friends named Debbie. One is very tall and the other is on the shorter side. We call the former Big Debbie and the latter, you guessed it, Little Debbie.
I love
That's
that.
very cute.
But I want to know how Big Deb feels about that.
I'm trying to understand if I know Big Debbie or Little Debbie.
Like, I
It
feel-
must be big. She's tall, but I've never thought of her as very tall. So Little Debbie must be very little.
If there was
only
another
know one
Elliot
of the
in our
Debbies.
circle, I wouldn't approve of being called Big Elliot, which I surely would be.
Would you approve of being called a big boy?
I mean,
You remember that one time
I lean into that one.
that we went to that high school football game a couple
Ooh,
months ago,
yes.
and the guy taking the tickets was called you big dog.
Big dog. Big dog. It was
Hey,
a big
dog.
I've never been more proud of myself.
Yeah, that was tough to watch.
Did you talk about the moment where somebody thought that you were in the military?
We've never.
Ooh.
I don't
We've
think
never talked about
I don't
it,
I
but
think
we
that's a good
should.
segue. I think you should tell that story
Yeah,
right now.
let's hear it, Elliot. I wonder if the same thing's going to
I like
happen
having
again
Andy
next
on the
week.
pod.
So, step in if you want to.
Oh, no,
you know,
Correct your.
correct me or add to the story.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and tell this quickly. So, in my role at my organization, I'm a photographer for events, and I wear an all black outfit. And I'm going to be honest, when I'm dressed up in my event gear with
gosh.
cameras hanging off of me, all dressed in black, I'm looking pretty tough.
This is an elaboration.
Chad, I'm looking pretty tough. You know it. So there's a guy that works every year. We have an annual event, and he works the video camera. And one time, the first time we met, he kind of sidled up to me. What's it called when you kind of saunter?
Sauntered?
Yeah, but
Saunter?
what's the verb?
Sidle?
Sidle. Is it sidle?
I don't know. I think so. Hey, write it in.
So he sauntered
I
up
think
to me.
saunter is a verb.
I think you could just say he walked up to you.
Oh, yeah, but I want to embellish a little
Okay.
bit. So he sauntered up to me. He was also dressed in all black because that's the event wear for
So
the
he,
behind the
he
scenes
saw
guys.
kindred spirit.
Yeah. So he looked at
A
me.
brother in arms.
He looked at me and he just real like kind of smoothly goes, "So, what branch are you in?" And I said, "Sir." What did I say, Caitlin?
I am the softest,
of the softest man
you
you'll ever meet. Yeah.
So on the outside, sometimes I can look tough, but I am not tough in any way, shape, or form.
So Elliot was real puffed up when this guy
Real puffed up.
like just you could tell like his shoulders went back. He was sort of strutting around the room.
I strut.
Yeah.
And he sent out a group chat. He sent a picture of himself to us. He's like, "Hey guys, I just got confused for a former Marine." Blah blah blah. And he sent it to our former.
Hoorah.
Our first guest, yeah, okay, Elliot, on the podcast, Frankie, and she saw the picture and he sent a picture of himself and she went, "Jesus, Elliot, your fly's down." And it immediately sucked all the
Got
wind
him.
out of his sails. He shrunk back to normal Elliot and it was over.
That's what Frankie does for me. Always
Yeah.
keeps me in check.
Yeah.
Anytime I feel good about myself, boom.
Right
Cut him
back
back
down to size.
I think
yeah.
that's a role that's like part of the contract of being Elliot's friend is you got to keep like puncturing that
yeah,
ego
it's
balloon.
really a public service. Could you imagine
Oh,
what
my-
would happen
if we
and what he
didn't
would
keep
be
him
like?
in check. Whew, watch out, world.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
might
you're
have some
welcome, world.
self-confidence.
We snuff that out like a candle.
As a creative, you need that lack
Yeah.
of ego. To
I
really
need the
drive your work.
self-deprecation.
Yeah,
and
your
Put
the-
that pain
hubris-
into your
Yeah.
work.
Will be your demise. Well, should we pivot into our like semi-topic?
I mean,
for this episode?
we just talked about the military.
Yeah, so
So-
this is
Yeah, like killing Elliot's self-confidence. Let's talk about something with a lot
Yeah.
of other deaths.
so Elliot put out a challenge to me. I don't know, a week or two
It was,
ago.
it was a week ago.
It was a week
as
ago.
we were recording the
yes.
pod, we talked about it.
So gosh, this feels like this like strange confessional right now. I'm like almost embarrassed to admit this. I don't watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And I know everyone else on the planet watches Game of Thrones. And
Right.
I was really dragging my feet about watching it. Like I knew it was probably something I was going to like, but I just couldn't get myself there. And Elliot, he sat me down and he sternly said, "Caitlin, I think you need to get it in gear and I think you need to start watching Game of Thrones."
Just as a friend.
As
I don't
a
want you to
friend.
miss out on this
Yeah.
cultural zeitgeist.
So I was like, you know what? It's time to wise up. So I have started watching Game of Thrones.
Right.
And in the past week, I've made it through the entire first season
Mhm.
and
Which-
the first 2 episodes of the second season. And you know what, y'all? I get it. Okay. I
It got
understand
its
why.
hooks into ya.
I
And-
understand why everybody's into it.
And frankly, I'm jealous of you to have that
The
experience.
first time,
Oh,
yeah.
I wish I could go back.
Yeah.
yeah,
and do
it's
it
one of those
again.
things you wish you could start over with a
I'm
fresh
sure.
pair of eyes.
So I'm trying to I'm not going to catch up to the 8th season premiere, the final
8th
season
is
premiere.
about to start, yeah.
But I think I'll probably catch up in time for the final episode of that.
So you plan to watch, what is it? There's 7
A lot. I don't know
there's
that I'm gonna be
7
able to do it. Yeah.
seasons of 10 episodes each. You've watched 12 of them so
12.
far? So you have 58 more to go.
Well, there's actually, I just Googled it before we got, there were 67
Okay.
episodes, so I have 55 to go
Interesting. Okay.
in the next, I don't know, month and a half.
Okay, that's
I
doable.
could do it.
It's not like we're busy in the next
I
month.
could do it. Yeah. I mean, I cranked through I know
Yeah.
you're right. 12 episodes in a week, which.
Okay,
that's-
if you keep that
that's
pace up,
impressive.
It is. Yeah. I don't know how I did it.
yeah. So by the time you're listening to this, our loyal listeners, Game of Thrones season 8 premieres in 6 days?
Yeah. Probably something like that.
April
Yeah.
14th, right?
Something like that.
So-
that feels close.
Yeah.
It feels
So
right.
we thought that this could be a good opportunity as a new listener myself and 3 veteran like, I don't know, super fan to.
I'm not going to call
bold of
myself a super
term,
fan.
fans.
I'll call myself a fan. A
Yeah.
solid
And
fan.
Andy, you're probably a super fan.
I would say I'm a super
Yeah.
fan.
Yes.
Andy's here for a.
We could talk a little Game of Thrones, make some predictions.
Yeah.
And I could ask you all some questions.
Yeah.
I would like to remark that my appearance on this pod was first introduced to me
It's a real peek
maybe
behind the
8 hours
curtain.
ago.
But he
So,
said yes.
I was not prepared. I have not. I was meaning to get to like really pushing myself into.
Right,
That's not the right
right.
word. What is the word? Like
reacquaint yourself.
reacquaint,
Yeah.
but like really like
Absorb all.
absorb,
Marinate
yes.
yourself.
Right, but
really
here's the thing.
marinate
Here's
in
the
Game
thing,
of
guys.
Thrones. and I
No
haven't done that.
spoilers. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm only 12 episodes in, so we have to like tread very lightly in how we
And-
talk about this.
Yeah.
For
And
me.
like as the people who have seen everything
Yeah.
up till now, we have to keep each other in check. Of
Yeah.
Yep.
stop.
Yeah.
I trust
Stop talking.
I trust Chad a lot.
Yeah,
in
so
this
I'll be the
pursuit.
referee.
For almost 100% of people that might be listening to this, it's going to be frustrating because we have to pretend that we've only seen the first
So this
season.
is Munch Madness Part 2.
Yeah, you're going to hate it. Most of you.
But this
And
is going
you'll
to be
let
good
us
for
know.
me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
But
so-
I'm going to make some predictions on what
Yeah.
I think happens in the
So
final
basically,
season.
Caitlin doesn't know the twists and turns, but she knows there's twists and turns coming.
I do.
So we want to see, we want to just loosely recap, I guess, the first season for
Yeah.
those that like need a refresher, because there's people
Yeah,
that need
it's
a
the
refresher.
foundation.
And we want Caitlin to kind of predict who she thinks is going to win the Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
with only the knowledge that comes from season 1.
And the first 2 episodes of season 2.
Right.
Let's not forget
There's
that
a lot
part.
that happens
So
there.
for those of you who
As of this morning at 7:30
Day and
a.m.
night,
across
you're
that
you're-
threshold.
Commitment. It's
Yeah,
commitment.
it has been. Like,
It gets its hooks in you, and you just
I know.
you like don't want to go to sleep.
I
You're like,
know.
I can crank
I was
another
like,
one out before I go to
damn
bed,
it, I
right?
get it
I gotta
now.
work
I
tomorrow.
really get it.
It's like, why do I do anything else with my life?
Oh, gosh.
Katie and I are rewatching, and we're on a similar pace.
Oh,
to
that's
you.
good. All right.
And
Nice
like,
to have buddies
if
in the
I end
pursuit.
up getting the flu sometime in the next couple of days, I
No.
might just be watching that with my
Good to know.
wife.
Couple final notes. I did. Yeah, Andy. If this is inappropriate, we can cut it out. But I did walk up to Andy with his headphones on, looking down at his phone, and he was watching a season 1 recap video.
Oh, I watched that just before the 5-minute recap on YouTube.
It may have been 25 minutes.
Oh, Andy, send me that link
did it
after
good,
this.
Did it do a good job?
It did a good job. It was the guy had to speak super fast to even capture
Yeah.
in 25 minutes
Oh.
season 1.
Okay.
But I mean, like I'm going into this very cold. I have not thought about season 1 for 10
Andy, you're not
years.
going that cold. Elliot was so generous as to print
Yeah.
out this like Game of Thrones family tree kind of thing,
Yeah.
which is super helpful. But then I looked a little bit further and I realized the entire thing is in French. Did you guys see that?
No.
Just to hide some of the secrets. That
but
you
their
don't wanna know.
names are.
Their names
As
are
we know
as
them.
we know them,
but their descriptions are in French.
everything else is in French. Yeah.
I've always thought you should watch Game of Thrones in French to really get the true experience.
Oh gosh,
Caitlin,
I
are there
would
any
be even
that-
more lost than I already am.
Are there any names that really just kind of feel a little whimsical in the French for you? I know you were reviewing some
I
of
like
them earlier.
Le Trône de Fer.
Who was that?
That's the Iron Throne.
Okay, perfect. I
No.
took 4 years of French in
Le Trône
high
de
school,
Fer.
and I don't know.
I like Hoders, but I'm not going to attempt to read it in a bad French accent.
I haven't even met him yet.
Yes, you have.
Yes.
Have I?
Yeah.
Make
Oh.
a dude.
He's the guy that only says Hodor.
He's the one who Bran, he carries Bran around.
Bran is the boy
He
who
lives in
fell out of the
Winterfell.
tower.
I haven't yet gotten to the point where I pause it when I need to go into the other room and do something. So
Oh,
there's,
jeez.
I might have missed something.
Katie watches
So
it with
you're-
subtitles on.
Oh, that's smart. I'm gonna try that.
I do that with all TV, and Elliot thinks this is crazy.
I think it's crazy.
But there is no way to fully experience TV without seeing all of the words at this point in my life. I don't know. I miss things otherwise.
I think that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It also,
I'm on Elliot's page on this one.
thanks, Chad.
but
Be attentive. Be in the world with them.
Right.
but just wait. So it started when we had a baby, and we lived in a small
makes sense.
condo, and the baby was right next to the room where we had the
Yeah,
TV.
you can't hear
Okay.
everything.
Once
yeah.
the baby's asleep, you have to put the volume down until they're like out, and the subtitles saved us.
That
Right.
makes 1,000% sense. That's a great thing.
He's just continued the practice
But
because he
now
learned that he liked
you
it.
don't need that anymore.
No. Once you get used to
I
it,
guess you still do.
You're
right?
like, how else? No, my kids can fall asleep with anything on at this point. But like, you need it. You find once you get used to it, it's hard,
Yeah.
especially when there's accents and people are saying
That's
random
fair.
weird words. I don't know.
I also can't refute Katie because you're like, what did they just say? And we're like, I don't know. I got the gist of it. And she's like, well, that's why I want the subtitles on. I'm like, fair. That's fair.
This is a complete aside, but I just want to call out that, I brought craisins for people to enjoy. And the two people, Elliot and Chad, who are so anti-craisin when we talked about them last week, have seemed to open and enjoy their craisins.
In my defense, who were craisins playing? Unsalted mixed nuts, who
God, are
made
we
it
back
into
on
the
this?
final
I
four.
knew this was going to
I'm just
derail the
saying.
conversation, but I'm like, it's interesting how things change in a week.
Okay, I don't know if you're going to believe me or not. I've opened them. I actually haven't had one yet.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
All right, so how do we want to do this Game of Thrones thing? Should I have some questions just to orient myself that
So,
I'm curious about
I
that
think-
Google could have answered for me, but I was
Sure.
like, why
Well,
not?
you have us.
That's dangerous,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah,
You're right.
that's true.
the thing. I didn't want to.
All right, so I think before we get into the questions, Caitlin,
Yeah.
I think we should do just a little bit of a recap or review of where we are in season one,
That'd
or
be
at the end
great.
of season one.
I love it.
Those of the people that have watched this already know this, but it helps to have a
It's
refresher.
a good refresher. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think our special
it's a
guest,
public service.
our special guest is going to take us through this for a little bit.
Who once again has been put up to this in the last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So season
On the
one,
fly.
yeah, on the fly. So season one, it's all about the setting up the board, right? So you're thinking of Game of Thrones as basically this big battle
Okay.
for the throne, the
Right.
big leading the whole of Westeros. So you're introduced to these different groups. So there is the North, where there are the Starks, and they are they're like the kind of the team that you root for. They're like the grain of the earth, right?
They're Viking-ish.
Yeah, they're
they
Viking-ish.
are.
They're
Yeah.
cold-blooded people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, really?
They say,
No.
No.
we're from the north.
I'm
No.
just saying they're from the cold area.
They're well mannered. They
They're so
seem like
warm-blooded.
a loving family.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You love them.
Yes,
They're
yes.
loyal. There's honor in
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
family stake.
Yeah,
Right.
they've got adorable children that have manners. Then there's the South, where there's the Lannisters, and they're on the sitting on the throne with the Baratheons, and they are leading all of Westeros. And then there's
the
this
Seven Kingdoms.
the Seven Kingdoms, yes. And then you're introduced to this whole other group, Daenerys, who is potentially, used to be the Targaryens used to rule over all of Westeros, and she's this long lost relative that they've found, and could she, be the next heir to the throne?
Yep.
So you've got this sort of moving story where all of these different families are kind of coming to a head and battling, and it ends in season one where Daenerys has dragons, and the South and the North, the Lannisters and the Starks, are ready to battle because Baratheon, the king, has died.
Right.
And that's kind of the whole season is just one big build up to that, and all these players. There's so much that happens.
Yeah.
There's so many crazy things, but that's like the basic gist of season
Right.
one, is that you find out who all the players are, and they come to a head, and suddenly it's all out battle.
You said come to a head. I would say there's one giant
Yeah.
thing that happens in season one
Oh,
involving a
Ned
head.
Stark.
Yeah, Caitlin, how did you feel when Ned Stark
So this is
Met his
episode
demise.
9
I'm shocked.
of season one.
I know. So I mentioned that I've watched this in the past week.
Yeah.
And I
this
watched
is all
this,
very fresh.
This particular episode, I think I watched yesterday morning, maybe
Oh,
before
yes.
work.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I texted Chad and Elliot, and I was like, "Oh my god, holy shit, Ned Stark!" And Elliot so elegantly texts back, "Caitlin, welcome to the biggest conversation of 2012." So yeah,
Yeah, it's like Game of Thrones was so cool because so none of us read the books except for Andy. Andy, did you watch the series first and then watch the books? How did that work?
So I wish I could say I read the books before the series started, but what happened was I watched season one, and I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. There are books. I'm going to read all those books.
Okay.
And I read all of the books before season two
Okay.
Oh, wow.
came out.
So you're the super fan among us.
So nothing has been surprising to you in the TV show since.
Well, after season 6, was it? I think
that's-
yeah. I think like everything was well. Even season 6, I think part of it was different or new
Yeah.
from the book.
I think, it's different from the book, and then
Yeah.
season 7 was just past the books,
Yeah.
is my understanding.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't think it's past the book. Well, it's past
What's
the
been
books that are
published.
written.
Yeah.
Caitlin, I don't know if you know this. The first book was written in like the 80s. Was it late 80s, early
I have
90s?
No idea.
It was a while ago. Maybe.
19, according to my research today, and this could be wrong, so write it in the mail back, 1996.
Okay, so mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
But the book series that the TV show is based on is not finished. There's still 2 books to come.
Yep.
So the series outpaced the book, which is heresy in the book
let's-
community.
Let's just
Heresy in
take
the
a
book
moment.
community, in the literary
Yeah.
world.
Let's take a moment to appreciate the book readers and what they had to go through. It
Right.
would be like 5 to 10 years between books at times.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
wild.
gosh.
Like it was insane for people who were reading the books in real time. I can't imagine, because if you can imagine how like you're binge watching this, right?
It's great.
It's like
it's so great. It's so satisfying to
so
not have
long.
to deal with any cliffhangers.
Yeah.
And
So just hit next
Yeah.
on my DVR.
And I like, as it got closer and closer to the show, catching up with the books, like people who had read the books were like, what the fuck? like we're now, it's like you want to read the books before you see it, right? And it's gone. It's gone. Like, and meanwhile, George R.R. Martin is like writing random books about like past history of Westeros that have nothing to do with
I want the current story of Westeros.
That's when you know you have power, when you can just play the puppeteer like that.
He's basically like, I don't really care what
He's
you guys
like
think.
the Pokemon evolution of an Elliot.
Oh, thank you. Well, he's my future.
Yeah.
If you know what he looks like.
He does have a big beard. He's a little bit more of a big boy.
Big boy.
He has an
And he's a
affinity.
true fan.
He has an affinity for really terrible hats.
See, that's
You
where
haven't-
we differ.
You haven't figured that
I
one out
don't wear
yet.
hats.
Yeah.
But like, so he is a tyrant because one of the things about Game of Thrones, and again, I haven't read the books, but you never know who's gonna make it. And
everybody. It's open season on anybody.
you
at
were
any
shocked
time.
by Ned Stark, as I was, as I think everybody was when they first saw that. It's not a spoiler to say there are shocks coming in the future.
Oh,
for you.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, and it's incredible.
So I did watch one episode of Game of Thrones before this, and it was actually, I think, with the three of you.
Yeah.
A few years ago.
Really?
In DC,
we were in DC
at that event.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I
Oh,
know
yeah, we
I
were all
know
there.
the
Yeah.
whole thing
yeah.
about like, it was like the Jon Snow thing.
Yep.
So like I know that one's coming.
Yeah.
Well, we warned people spoilers for season 1, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have questions.
I do. They're like sort of
Before
specific.
we get there,
Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge something I'm observing. Elliot, you have like one sparkle on your face, and it's distracting me so much. Do you have like glimmer moisturizer on or something? What's going
Yeah,
on?
it
Oh,
is.
is there one over there as well?
a little twinkle by your eye.
Is it glitter?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What were you doing earlier?
I mean, I was
Elliot?
going to say it's really hot in here and I might be a little sweaty, but no,
Yeah. You don't look any sweatier than normal.
I'm looking very George R.R. Martin right now.
Ooh. All right. Sorry for that
boy.
interjection. I just wanted our listeners to
Thanks
know
for that.
Okay.
Elliot is gleaming right now.
So these are just like very specific questions that I wanted to take advantage of the time with the three of you to get answers to.
Because we are the foremost experts.
In the room, without a
In
doubt.
the room, yeah.
Yeah. So okay, first question. And these are in no particular order. They're just the order that they popped into my brain.
Sure.
Who's that dude that was like on the beach that burned the idols?
Ooh.
This is like the beginning of season 2, I think. He's the brother of the Richard guy.
Stannis.
Yes, Stannis Baratheon.
Yeah.
Brother to Robert and Renly.
Renly, I don't know. Maybe I
Renly was
do.
in the small council. He's Robert's younger brother. Stannis is the one that they talk about a lot in the first season, but you don't actually get to meet him.
Renly
Okay.
is the one who has a relationship with the knight. He gets
That's his son.
chest shaved. No, that's
No.
that's his
Brother.
brother.
Oh, yes.
I don't know.
Renly is Robert's younger brother.
Okay.
So
and he's basically like, yo, guys, that's my throne.
yeah.
Yep.
So Ned uncovers the fact that Robert's son, Joffrey, is not actually his son. He's
Right.
the son of Cersei and Jaime.
Yeah.
Right? So Ned is trying to
Incest is the best
uncover
is, I guess,
that
their
after
point.
Robert dies, Joffrey is not the rightful heir.
He's like, that's my throne de fer.
So Ned is saying that Stannis is the rightful heir because
Right.
he's the next youngest brother of
Okay.
Robert.
And Stannis
That's
is
who
like,
Stannis
yeah,
is.
I'm going to jump on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so is Renly.
But so where does Stannis live?
Where he
He lives in Dragonstone.
Dragonstone, which
Oh.
is where the Targaryens
On
used to.
the beach somewhere.
Yeah, you find that out
It's
later.
coastal.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's coastal.
What's the deal with that brother who isn't Jon Snow or Robb Stark, like the other one with like the little bit of the gap between his teeth? But he's
Ooh.
like not a real
Bronn?
brother.
Wait.
Yeah.
No,
Bronn,
Are you
Bronn.
thinking Theon?
Theon Greyjoy.
Yeah.
So he's a ward. So he's a ward of the Starks because once upon a time there was a battle of the Trident where
Chad's a historian.
the Greyjoys of the Iron Islands were on the wrong side of the rebellion, and the Starks essentially beat them in the battle. And so he was a kid, and he's like a prisoner from the battle, essentially.
ward.
He's a prisoner of war.
Yep. And the Starks have just raised him, but because he's high blood, they raise him like in the family, like living
Got it.
style quite
Okay.
a bit.
So he's like an adopted Stark.
Yep.
Yes.
Kind of.
Okay. What is can this just be rapid fire with my questions?
Bring it on, yeah.
Okay. Where like Jason Momoa?
Yep.
Is he? He doesn't live in.
What a dreamboat.
I went deep on Jason Momoa actually. I because I'll bring it up after. But he doesn't live in Westeros. Like that's
No.
like
Nope.
Whole different continent.
Oh.
There's 2 continents
Pentos.
in the world.
They're on Pentos. When they
okay.
start.
It's like back in the days where there was Pangea. That was just the one continent.
Think of just there's 2 main areas
There's
of
Westeros
the
and
world.
Essos.
Yeah. Essos.
Essos.
So there's Westeros and Essos.
Yeah.
Westeros is to the west. Essos is to the east.
Mm-hmm.
He's from the east. So the 7 kingdoms are on Westeros, which is west.
And then it's just everybody else.
Yeah, it's like an island. There's
Andy
like
just
another
showed me a
island.
map. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we got a
Yeah.
little map here. I should have printed out a map for you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It-
You just printed out the French family tree.
so Jason Momoa is Khal Drogo,
Yeah.
who's the leader of
The Dothraki.
the Dothraki. Which there's many Dothraki tribes. He's the leader of one of the Dothraki
okay,
tribes.
that didn't,
Horde,
I
if
didn't
you will.
realize.
The Horde.
A horde.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And he's
that's-
gorgeous. And let's just say the way he kills Viserys, what a cool scene when he
Mhm.
gives Viserys the crown of gold he
Yeah,
always
I
wanted.
liked that actually.
What a
One
cool death.
critique. How long? I thought he would have suffered more as he was dying. It seemed like
Yeah, it
he
was
died
quick.
pretty quickly.
I mean,
yeah,
that's,
I was
it's pretty
wondering
hot.
that myself.
like I thought he would have sat there and quivered more in like pain and like.
It was like
that
a Ghostbusters movie where it's
This-
just like
Yeah.
This sounds like a piece of write us into the mailbag for Brian.
Oh,
He
yeah.
seems like he'd go deep on
How
that
long,
on that
Yeah.
question.
how long would it take somebody to die from a situation like that?
Brian, we're calling you out. Let us know.
What exactly are you dying from? Because
Heat.
it's, I mean,
Burning through your brain.
so your brain just
So,
fries.
like, is that the
think
thing?
so.
Did it go through his skull and
It
then
would
hit
have
his
to.
brain? Because like
I
that
would
would
have
to.
make sense, but I don't know.
yeah, it was instantaneous.
That's got to be a pretty painful way to go.
I mean, how hot would it have to be? There's an answer to how hot gold has to be to melt.
Yep.
That's probably hot enough to burn through your skull. Don't you think?
I don't know.
I think so.
Probably. All
Let's
right,
not
so
find
like
out.
it's all winter's coming. Like, why is the climate so different?
Oh man.
Oh,
Oh.
they can't. I
That's
don't
a-
know.
that's
that
a
we can-
giveaway. That's
I
a
don't know that we
spoiler.
can say anything.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
you end
fair.
up learning
That's
more
fair.
about
I don't
it.
have to know.
Yep.
Something we can give her right now though, the winters and the summers are not as consistent as we know.
Yeah, I
they
know.
have different lengths, and it seems
That
like
are
it's just those two.
unpredictable.
Yeah, like
Okay.
winter
It's
or
not a
summer.
season.
So
a
it's like-
season could last 20 years,
Has
or
it-
it could last 5 years. You don't know.
Okay.
That's
I
just
won't
the
ask
world
my
we
second
live
question
in.
because I know it's going to be a spoiler for me. I mean, that's kind of it that I had from like questions
Okay.
standpoint for now. Yeah.
So I think at this point we can move on. First of all, you're welcome.
yeah, no, I appreciate this. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me.
I think we can transition now into who do you think is going to win the Game of Thrones?
Yeah. So can I just give you my blank assessment on some of the main players in the
Yeah,
games?
I would love that. I
Like
would love
people I
that.
like, people I don't like
yes.
so much.
Yes.
So you know what? I'm feeling Khaleesi.
Okay.
Or how do I say her name?
Daenerys,
Daenerys.
Khaleesi,
Just
Dany,
call her Danny.
Yeah, she's like a badass.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
strong
Mother
like
of
character.
how she, like,
dragons.
finds
No
that-
nonsense.
She finds that over the first season.
Yeah,
too.
she
In the
did.
beginning, she's very timid and like
yeah, she was like sold, and then she's like, "No, f this. This is my rodeo."
Oh, you're in for
You're gonna-
a wild
yep.
ride.
I
there's
think
a-
she's
there's a
gonna
lot
be.
more to come.
Yeah. The little dude, Tyrion.
Tyrion Lannister.
I
The best.
like him. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Tyrion's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a complicated character, but I think his heart's in the right place. He's funny.
That's a good read. I
Yeah.
like that read
Yeah.
on him.
I know I'm supposed to like Rob Stark and be like, "Oh, he's the hero."
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of feeling like a wet blanket to me, though.
Ooh.
Like I'm just not that. I know that it like the show is pushing me to really get
Yeah,
behind him,
right.
and I am. I'm rooting
Okay.
for him, but I'm
Well, follow along.
That's fair, that's
he's not my
With-
number one dog in
yeah.
the fight. Also feel similarly about Jon Snow.
Okay.
Like, don't like him.
No, I
You think
know I'm
he's a wet
supposed to
blanket?
like him. I'll get there.
Yeah. Do you
but
feel
he's
like
not
you
pulling me in yet.
do you feel like it's because you know the show wants you to like him? That's why you don't like him?
Maybe.
I think,
Like-
yeah.
but still, I say in the season one, he's kind of a wet blanket,
Yeah.
like you said, or
yeah,
a limp noodle.
like
if
I
you
get
will.
it,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I love though how it becomes a thing for the show about his brooding and like how that's just like that's his character
yes.
trait, and it gets to the point where they actually make fun of it in the show.
Okay,
there's-
I love that when it's,
there's
like,
characters who are like
self-referential.
Jon Snow, you can smile.
Yeah.
a little bit. Like,
It ain't that bad,
relax
man.
a little bit.
It ain't that bad. Well, he got like a dose of that, right? It's like, oh, you're this bastard child. You think your life is so hard. It's like, look around, pal. These guys' lives were hard. Like, snap out of it.
My life is so hard.
One of my favorites, I mean, Arya Stark, right?
Oh yeah.
Come on.
She's a firecracker.
She's a
She's the best,
champion.
yeah.
Yeah. Was I sad about Ned? Yes.
Yeah.
Know who also I kind of
Sean
like?
Bean can't just catch a break, you know?
No.
Yeah.
He dies in almost everything he's ever in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's like one of the most common
that
things
guy.
about
What
him
else,
as an actor.
What else has he been in?
Well, he was in Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
died in the first
another
movie.
thing we know that I don't
Spoiler
watch.
alert for Lord of the Rings.
Don't worry.
Although if you're
Not
to this
spoiling
point in the Game
anything
of
for
Thrones
me.
conversation, you've seen Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, well, not me.
Oh God.
I also
really?
like that knight
Sorry.
that kicks it with Tyrion. Braun.
Oh,
is his
Bronn.
name?
Yeah, he's not a knight. Not a knight.
Oh,
Yeah,
or whatever he is, that dude.
A cell swordsman or what's that called?
Like a mercenary, a sellsword.
Yeah,
but
he's
yes,
like a gun
yeah,
for
yeah.
hire.
Yeah.
But
I
that
like him.
bromance, that's
Yes.
one of my favorite things
Yeah.
of the whole
Oh
series.
man.
And here's the thing, guys. I know I'm not supposed to like him,
Ooh,
but let me tell you, who I'm kind of into Littlefinger.
really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something there.
I love
There's
Littlefinger.
there.
Especially in the first season, he's a cool character.
Yeah,
I like
there's
him a lot.
something about bad boy.
Peter
Bad
Baelish.
boy.
He's a bad boy.
Varys
is cool too. I really like Varys. He's the bald, the eunuch.
Oh, I don't like him.
No.
That makes sense.
He's
That makes
really
sense.
interesting.
Smarmy. He's smarmy.
Yeah, but he's
No, policing. She's got to make her own assessment.
Yeah,
saying
that's
a word,
right.
not saying a word.
Also, I just want to bring up the incest thing for a second.
yeah. How do you feel about that? I mean, you're probably anti.
I'm anti-incest, but I feel like in Game of Thrones, I don't get why it's such a big thing. Because these people are okay with a lot of things.
Right.
It doesn't feel like to me that they would draw a real hard line around that one.
So there's some backstory there. I don't think this is spoilers because I think this.
That's all right. Go
This-
for it.
They
Andy.
is-
talk a little bit about. Are you
Yep.
talking about the Targaryens?
Yep.
and their-
Mhm.
Yep. Okay.
So-
Targaryen.
Targaryens at the pole shed.
Got the Wisconsin in there. Targaryen.
Takes his sister out to the pole shed.
Oh wow.
Sorry.
Okay, that would be a new version of
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. So I don't remember if they talk about this in the show or how deep they go, but definitely in the book. And there's lots of things that, as I mentioned, George R.R. Martin has written
Yeah.
about in the past. And the Targaryens were famous for their incest. They only married within the family, and as part of
Oh.
getting rid of
They
the
kept the bloodline
Targaryens,
pure.
Oh, that blonde
Yeah.
hair, yeah.
Yeah.
and part of getting rid of them in Westeros was we're not doing this anymore, right?
Mm.
So
Oh.
I think
That's good
Oh,
context.
they're
Yeah.
not in Westeros anymore.
Well,
They-
they're not alive at all. They
There's only a
Wait.
couple
Oh,
Targaryens
Oh,
left.
it's Khaleesi and
Khaleesi, her brother,
and
and,
Varys.
well, we know her brother.
one of the guys in the Night's Watch was a
Um,
Targaryen.
Yeah,
The-
yeah,
the
the old
Maester,
dude,
the
the old
Maester.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, the Maester. I forget his name.
I don't know anyone.
Who refused the throne? Yeah.
Yeah.
He talks about.
He's an honorable man. So,
Yeah.
okay, we have just a few moments left. Caitlin, I would love to know. Fast forward your brain 8 years or
Oy.
7 years, I guess.
Or 3.5 weeks.
Who do you think? Who do you think is still around?
I mean,
Wait. Before we go into this, I feel like we got to get your hot take on Cersei. You can't not mention her.
oh yeah, that's fair. I mean,
And Joffrey.
Joffrey's
Oh,
a dick.
no one likes Joffrey.
No, I can't.
There's nothing there.
I don't find anything redeeming about him.
There's
Maybe the
very-
tables turn, but no. There's no there with
I'm not
Joffrey
going to
for
say
me.
anything, but girl,
All right, we'll see. I mean,
He matures so well.
look, we can't blame him. Look where he came from.
right? His upbringing, you
Yeah.
know, nature versus nurture. You know what I mean?
Okay, what was the question? Who do I
Cersei.
think? Oh, what do I think about Cersei? Look, I'm a fan of a strong woman.
Yeah.
I know that
Right.
she
That's fine.
is not. There's self-preservation there.
Sure.
She's not making great decisions. She's obviously very cold in the first season.
Yeah.
I imagine there's going to be some complexity that's added as time wears on.
Yeah.
You're starting to see perhaps some of the layers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like her now, but
Right.
I have an eye towards the fact that I'm probably going to start to like her more.
Well,
Interesting.
But I
Yeah.
don't have evidence that's leading me in that
That's a
direction
good hot
other than a
take.
gut
I
feeling.
like that.
And I just rewatched season 1, and there's a very interesting conversation between her and Robert Baratheon that I think I forgot about.
Mhm.
That sets up their arranged marriage,
Right.
And
Oh, okay.
how that was holding the kingdoms together, and
Right.
some of that context
Sure,
too.
sure.
I
It's the
think
Game of
helps me
Thrones.
understand her story.
I also don't remember if certain things about her past were revealed in season 1, which
Right.
helped to shape who she is.
right.
Yep.
But
Well,
I do.
If we don't know, we have to
Yeah.
assume they didn't.
I do think that
I can't remember.
what should be mentioned is just part of what's interesting about Game of Thrones that a lot of people talk about is that how the women are often outsmarting the men and are often the men don't Ned didn't consider the fact that Cersei might be plotting against him.
Yeah.
He was like, grab your children and get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm giving you this chance. I'm saving you. I'm being like the good guy.
Yeah.
When in fact,
the white knight
That's
patriarch.
true. The women really are moving
Yeah.
the pieces around on the
yeah,
chessboard.
she's like, no.
Totally.
I'm outthinking you. I'm 5 steps ahead of you. And I think that's what's kind of,
Man, Ned got
Yeah.
played.
yeah,
Ned was not a
Yeah.
politician. He was an honorable man, but
No.
not
No.
a politician.
he was,
No.
He was a good
not
soldier.
smart.
He did not play the Game of Thrones very well.
No.
So, Caitlin, who do you think is going to win the Game of Thrones? In
Like-
your mind right now.
Gosh.
And if you want to take some time, I think we can say who our favorites are.
Yeah. I mean,
the rest
I
of
think,
us.
Okay.
Uh,
Who your favorites are? To
Who
win
our
it?
favorites are at the end of season 1. Right?
Oh.
Put yourself in episode 10.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite? Me, it's Tyrion Lannister.
Oh.
He's my favorite character at the end of episode 1.
Okay, he's smart.
He's smart. He's cunning. He's funny.
He's witty.
He's
Yeah.
witty. He's wise.
Yeah.
I love Tyrion. Always have.
He is
likes a
he
good
is-
whore,
He
you
is
know.
a step ahead. He does.
Chad calling it like he sees it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any way to not love
Right.
Tyrion.
No.
Like, he's just the most dynamic
Yeah.
character that plays. He's in everything, and he's looking at all sides, right? And he's
Right.
like, he gets it,
Mhm.
but he also doesn't. He's not necessarily scheming for himself,
Right.
which is I feel like a lot of the characters are self-serving,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
he's trying to make it what's best for Westeros.
And all that shit with his dad. I mean, come
A
on.
lot of daddy issues.
One
Woo.
of my favorite characters, Ser Jorah's voice. Like separating him from the actual character. I want him to narrate just everything.
Jorah is cool.
Who's that?
He's the guy who's like looking out for Danny. He's like the
Oh,
Westeros.
yeah,
the
yeah.
knight
I like
who
that
speaks,
dude. Yeah, yeah.
Dothraki.
Oh, Jorah.
English and Dothraki.
The consigliere
The common tongue.
de
The common, yeah.
Daenerys in French.
So we got 2 for Tyrion, 1 for Jorah. Caitlin.
Jorah's voice.
Okay, just his voice.
Yeah.
Forget
his
his
character,
face.
plenty of flaws, but
Okay.
I just want him to. No, that was bad.
Do it.
No,
Do it, Chad. Let me
I
hear
can't
it.
remember. I got to hear it first. Next episode, I might be. But he just talks so much like this.
Wow.
Daenerys.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, that was good. I'm putting my money on my girl Khaleesi right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. That's a pretty good bet.
Yeah.
I mean, she's obviously a main character. She's
Sure.
obviously important, but like
Sure, but that doesn't
so
mean
was-
much with
so
Game
was
of
Ned.
Thrones.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah.
So was Ned.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another great thing about Game of Thrones is like it takes all of what you would expect, right?
Right.
Like there's all this
Right.
build up that these certain characters are going to be the one,
Right.
you know, and then nope.
And then who
Just
knows?
kidding.
I
Ned
also
is your
think my
first
girl,
example of that.
Yeah.
My girl Arya Stark is going to start making some moves over the next 6 seasons, 7 seasons.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that varied a lot in the book too. Is
Her story.
The kids. I mean, her story. It just like it went a lot deeper in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that was the best conversation from 2011.
Yeah.
Thanks for
and we acknowledge that this is a part
We
one
hopped in
episode.
our time
We're gonna
machine.
recap
Right.
after everything happens.
Yeah,
as
this is-
well,
this
and
is part
bookend
one.
This is the first of the book.
yeah. So Caitlin, you got to keep it up.
I'm going to keep it up.
Keep watching, and
think.
I would love
No,
to.
I'm going to be able to my goal is to in real time watch the series finale with the rest of
Perfect.
the world.
Wow.
I would love that.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're going to reconvene as a foursome,
we are. Yep.
and we're gonna chat about what happened.
Yeah.
We're gonna see how do your favorites make it?
Right.
We don't know.
catch up with us if you're not already caught up, because spoilers are gonna be out the window when we get to that. We're gonna talk about it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's going to be no more looking backwards 7 years kind of.
All right. So we recapped snacks. We recapped season 1.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Very
8 years later.
You're welcome.
A
Yeah.
very connected episode, I would say.
Yeah.
It's war on both sides.
Well, it's
we
probably
could call
exactly.
this
It's
Game
gonna
of
be
Scones.
Game of Scones.
Oh. Chad.
Episode name.
That's what I'm naming the episode.
Yeah.
Episode 12, The Game of Scones.
It's two conversations that are
Great.
going to drive everyone completely bonkers yet again.
You know what? Write
Yeah.
us into the mailbag. Chad, where is the mailbag?
I'll tell you what, podcast@gmail.com.
Thank you very
Take
much.
out that apostrophe.
No apostrophe.
No apostrophe. Andy,
Kill
is there
that
an apostrophe?
just like Ned Stark.
I believe I heard there is no apostrophe.
There's absolutely no apostrophe.
Nor on the Instagram.
No. All right. Chad, bring us home.
You've been what? You've been
Told.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.